All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Shots fired from Bob Arum and Terence Crawford today in an interview that he gave. Wow. When asked about whether or not Terence Crawford could beat Errol Spence Jr. and his thoughts on making the fight, let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We're in the welterweight division, and now we're going to talk about Bob Arum, who is putting on a very big fight this weekend between Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez for the lightweight championship of the world. He gives his 2 cents on Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford, and the answer, the response he gives is shocking. Let's talk about that in this video. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're a longtime subscriber, if you're not a longtime subscriber, you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of when we release more videos, when we do our live streams, which are pretty much every day, Monday through Monday, and 8 a.m. in live streams, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. All right, so Bob Arum gave his thoughts, and I have to tell you right now, before you Terence Crawford fans get mad at me, takes an unnecessary shot at Terence Crawford. And basically, when he's asked, what do you think about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight? He says, look, I did think that Terence Crawford was the better fighter. However, in order to be able to beat somebody like Errol Spence Jr. in the way that he looked in his last fight, you've got to be all the way mentally there. And he said that is not his impression right now of Terence Crawford, and said that mentally he doesn't seem right to him. And unless he can get that way, he doesn't know what is going to happen to him in a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Now, this is where I'm going to say, look, before you Terence Crawford fans get mad at me for telling you what somebody else said, here's my take, man. Bob Arum is obviously salty with Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford is suing him and threw a lot of mud on Bob Arum's name. If you are not familiar with what happened with Bob Arum and Terence Crawford, after Terence Crawford fought Sean Porter, Terence Crawford said that he was not going to be re-signing. Actually, he said that he was not going to work with Bob Arum on making any more fights. Right now, he didn't say anything about not re-signing because Bob Arum and Top Rank were not offering to re-sign him. They wanted to deal with Terence Crawford on a fight-by-fight basis, and specifically what Bob Arum said, he compared Terence Crawford to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and said back in the day when we were fighting, when we had Marvelous Marvin Hagler, we were doing fights with Marvin Hagler. We did it on a fight-by-fight basis. We did not have a multi-fight deal with him. That's the way we used to do it, and that's the best way to do that moving forward with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, for his part, said he was not interested in that, and then went on about suing Bob Arum for breach of contract. The claim of breach of contract is related to some payments that were made, or I believe where he missed in 2018 or 2019. He being Bob Arum, did not give Terence Crawford 2 fights like that he was promised on the contract, because his contract said that he would fight twice a year. Also at issue was a bonus that Bob Arum was supposed to pay of $900,000 if he, Bob Arum, was not able to secure Terence Crawford a fight with Errol Spence. I think the issue was whether or not it was a one-time payment or a 2-time payment, or whether he had to do that every year after it didn't make it, after the fight didn't get made. But whatever the case is, the most salacious part of the lawsuit was that Terence Crawford accused Bob Arum of being a pernicious racist, and said that he did not know how to promote black fighters, and to boot that he did not provide black fighters with the same amount of effort that he did to European fighters and Mexican fighters. Bob Arum obviously is very offended at that, and believes that there's something that is absolutely crazy, believes that the lawsuit's not going to go anywhere, has said things like to the effect of, you can say a lot of things about me. You can say that I'm cheap. You can say that I'm whatever you can say, but you cannot say I'm a racist, because that is not true. And that's his stance. So now he is obviously believing that Terence Crawford, or he's saying that he believes that Terence Crawford is not in the right mental state to be able to get into a fight with Errol Spence Jr., prepare for a fight with Errol Spence Jr., and be able to be successful in that fight. To me, I don't agree with that. I don't know. I think one of the things that Terence Crawford has always been the best at is doing what he does in training. He's consistently training. He's consistently working. And I'm sure that, he's been fighting long enough to know what it takes for him to get all the way in shape and be in a position to compete at the best of his ability with Errol Spence Jr. Whatever, win, lose, or draw, he's going to get in there and he's going to give it his best, and he's going to know how to focus, because he's always a guy that stays in the gym. He's not somebody that, is prone to wandering, right? And the such. Now, whether or not he's in his correct mental state and all of that, I just think that seems to me to be, a little bit of sour grapes, and not a little bit of sour grapes, a lot of sour grapes from Bob Arum to say that. I think that is something that is very unfair. Unless you really know what's going on in his head and you sit there and talk to him about that, I don't think that that's something that you really should say. However, that's what Bob Arum said. I don't put a lot of credence into it, but I do understand, though, that, I wouldn't say Bob Arum has a point in that regard. However, when your life is unsettled, like whether it's a personal life or your professional life, that is a wrinkle in the plan that you don't necessarily need. Now, will that actually affect Terence Crawford in the fight? Do not know. And I don't think it will. Bob Arum also went on to ask, if he was asked whether or not he thought the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight was going to get made. And he said something. And then he was asked on top of that, whether or not, since Terence Crawford is around in the gym and all that, whether he has any issue with him being there. And I thought Bob Arum gave, a half classy, half snide answer. He said, as far as, the fight being made with Errol Spence Jr., he said, I don't know. That's not my problem. He said, I don't know. That's not my problem anymore. It got nothing to do with me. He's not with us. That's what it is. He said, as far as Terence being around Shakur Stevenson or being around top-ranked fighters, he said, look, I don't have a problem with that. We're above that. We're not going to say because we have an issue with Bud that Bud is not going to be allowed to be in our gym or be on our premises. We're above that. We're not going to get into that, which, I think is, man, there are people that would do worse. You know what I'm saying? There are people that would do worse and be like, nah, man, you got to get out of here. But at the same time, Brian McIntyre is training multiple fighters that fight with Top Rank. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I'm not putting too much into what Bob Arum said, but, it's worth mentioning. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.